Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tala Ramahi, and I'm Chief Strategy Officer of the Special Olympic World Games. But I have to make an admission. I actually have never, ever worked on a mega event before. I used to work in public policy, still do for the most part. But I work for the man you see in this picture, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. I worked for public policy for about 7 years when he came to us and said that he wanted us to lead the bid for the Special Olympic World Games. I was put on the team to lead this bid along with other stakeholders from Abu Dhabi. And I realized this was an opportunity to really use what I knew about public policy to change social issues that we really needed to address in the UAE. This was also His Highness's vision in really utilizing these games as a platform for social change, to be really brave about talking about the conversations that haven't been talked about before in our society. Conversations about having a family member with intellectual disability, brave conversations about sometimes the lack of opportunities that we provide for people with intellectual disabilities in this region. So this really was an opportunity for us to do just that. After bidding, we were very delighted to kind of get the award of hosting the Special Olympic World Games in Abu Dhabi for the first time in the Middle East and North Africa region. This is a historic moment for us, but also a historic moment for the movement. This meant that through the Special Olympic World Games held in Abu Dhabi, we would be able to tackle a very honest and brave conversation about the issues that mattered here in the Middle East. The largest sporting and humanitarian event in the world will take place in 120 days in Abu Dhabi. And what does this mean in numbers? We have 7,000 athletes coming from 170 nations, the largest number of nations ever to compete in the Special Olympic World Games. This is a grand feat because it was about engaging the world in this conversation as well, making sure that we had global partners that were a part of this effort in the region. We also will be engaging over 20,000 volunteers. This is the largest volunteer force ever assembled for an event of this kind in the region. Engaging these volunteers, and as Lucy mentioned, really will transform their lives as well, will transform their perceptions. Many people sign up to volunteer and don't know what the experience will be like. However, we've realized, and a lot of the volunteers that have been a part of our journey since the very beginning have come to us after volunteering and saying, wow, this movement has given me more than I have given to it, and it really does transform you as a person. So these games are expected to be transformational for people with intellectual disabilities, but also for the society as well. But I think it's important to note that this event is not just about sports. Sports is the platform where we engage in this conversation, but it's about so much more. In March, we will be hosting numerous events alongside the sporting competitions. One notable one is our Healthy Athlete program. The Healthy Athlete program is a program where we deliver free health screenings to every single athlete that comes to participate in these games. Every single athlete from these 170 countries. In addition to providing these free health screenings, we provide free health interventions on site for these athletes. And this is a program that has been running through the Special Olympics movement and through Special Olympics International for years and years now. And what's amazing about this program is now Special Olympics International as an organization is the largest holder of health data on people with intellectual disabilities in the world. So this is really transformational in terms of public policy perspective. So if you think about this, data in the region is lacking, not just on intellectual disabilities, but on many, many issues. And having that kind of data is really transformational in terms of a public policy perspective. We also have a host town program. So while our sports are primarily being hosted in Abu Dhabi, We also have some sports happening in Dubai, but this really is a national effort. We have every single emirate hosting athletes before our opening ceremony for 3 days, where they get to engage with our athletes, to meet them, to learn more about their lives and their journeys coming here before the games. What's important about the Host Town program, I think, it is the largest cultural exchange program ever. However, in addition to that, this is an opportunity to really engage the UAE as a country in this conversation, to make sure we're engaging the right people, the right policymakers, the right organizations who can be a part of this effort to create this change that we really require in this region. You'll see a variety of other events up here that are also happening during the games. And obviously the opening and closing ceremonies are a highlight for many people, and they will be a highlight for our games. And we'll have a lot of exciting kind of announcements coming up on ceremonies very soon. But Special Olympics is not about an event that happens once every 2 years. It is also about a movement, and a movement that is celebrating 50 years this year. This movement was founded by Eunice Kennedy Shriver. Eunice Kennedy Shriver was actually the sister of the late American President John F. Kennedy. And they had a sister, Rosemary, who had an intellectual disability. And even as a presidential family, they had a lot of challenges trying to find opportunities for Rosemary to participate in sport. So Eunice Kennedy Shriver decided to take on that challenge and to be brave, and started a camp in their backyard for people with intellectual disabilities. That camp grew into the Special Olympic movement we know today. And in 1968, the first Special Olympic World Games were held in Chicago. 50 years later, the movement now comes to the region. So what was the challenge that Eunice was trying to solve? The challenge is that people with intellectual disabilities are among the most neglected and vulnerable groups in the world. This is a scary statistic, but I think it's worth noting. People with intellectual disabilities, on average, die 16 years earlier than people without intellectual disabilities. 16 years. They don't die because of their intellectual disability. They die because of unmet health needs. And this is really scary, because this is exactly the kind of challenges we're trying to solve through the Special Olympics movement. There are a lot of scary statistics that I won't share with you, but I think what's important to note here is this also presented an amazing opportunity for change for this demographic. Through the Healthy Athlete program, we've realized, and we've been lucky to be able to help a lot of our athletes and serve their unmet health needs. 40% of our athletes, when they were screened, realized that they required prescription glasses. This is a really simple kind of unmet health need, but very important for an athlete who needs to see where the ball is, which direction the ball is coming from. Before I talk about the opportunity, I want you to watch this video about Chevy Peters. Chevy Peters is a Special Olympic athlete from the United States. You'll hear his story now through this video, and then I'll talk a little bit about his journey to the World Games.
I think what motivates him is proving everybody wrong. He's been told since a young age that he can't do a lot of stuff. He likes to shock people on the numbers and how good he really is.
Chevy Peters wasn't expected to live past age 2, but somehow after 2 strokes and 38 operations, he's still cheating death. Peters has had brain surgery, a liver transplant, and a kidney transplant from his brother Jared.
I get my strength from my brother's kidney. He's the one that got to do a lot of the sports. I was always the manager. When he gave me his kidney, his strength kind of got inside me too. All these years, I've been in and out of hospitals, surgery after surgery after surgery. This is where I belong.
When Chevy Peters met his coach, John Lair, he had never even touched a dumbbell. During their first session, he raised and he deadlifted weight that was equivalent to 92 pounds, which was about how much he weighed. And then over the next 7 years, they trained together. Chevy, when he first met his coach, kind of admitted to him that he wanted to end his own life because of all the challenges he faced growing up as a person with intellectual disability. He saw his brother, who was a very successful athlete at their high school, and always wanted to be like his brother. His brother ended up saving his life through giving him one of his kidneys. And then 7 years later, after Chevy had met his coach, was given the opportunity to compete in the Special Olympic World Games in LA. Chevy deadlifted double his weight and reaped 4 medals for himself, 1 in silver and 3 gold. I think it's worth noting that while Chevy's story is truly inspirational and brave, it is not necessarily that unique, because we have 7,000 Chevys coming to the Games. And it's our responsibility and our duty as citizens, as people, to be able to give people like Chevy this platform, to be brave enough to be speaking about these causes, social issues that really matter and really would change the lives of everyone involved. So this is a photo of Chevy when he won his first medal in LA in 2015. And this is really an opportunity for all of us to be talking about these issues, to shed light on the stories that are like Chevy's in many ways. And Special Olympics is really about that. It's about using this platform, the sporting platform, to do so much more. It's about engaging organizations that can make their own change in many ways, whether it's engaging our sponsors in adjusting their own internal policies or otherwise. And our chief marketing officer will talk a little bit about this later. But it's also about addressing public policy, so engaging governments and policymakers in this issue. It's about engaging youth, who really are kind of the driving force of this movement, because youth, once you have youth on board and bought into this cause, they will be kind of the drivers of this movement going forward, and many of our volunteers are actually of a younger age group. I think, it's worth noting that Chevy and people like Chevy wake up every day and have to be brave. They have to be brave about facing social issues, social burdens, social challenges. But they wake up every day and they have to recite this athlete oath of the Special Olympic World Games. Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. And that's exactly what our athletes have to do every day. Since joining the Special Olympic movement only 2 years ago, this motto has really inspired me as well. And I think it would inspire all of us reading this and kind of reciting this, because it's not always about winning, and Special Olympics is not about the medal count or the records you break, but it's about being brave about that conversation, being brave about participating. Participating is a revolutionary thing for a Special Olympic athlete, and this is what really changes their lives. So I want to leave you with this athlete oath, and you'll actually get to meet an exciting athlete from our movement here in the UAE very soon. Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. Thank you.